Welcome to this episode of the Firm on Foundation podcast. I am your host, Iconic. Joining us today is the Ralph Carter with We Are Linden. How are you feeling today, Ralph?
Feeling good, feeling great. Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the pod. So, I'm going to allow Ralph to just give us a brief backstory of who he is, what he does, what is We Are Linden. But I'll start briefly with my reference and my observation and opinion of what Ralph represents. So when I think of Ralph, for some reason, Noah's Ark comes to mind. There's a meme going around the internet that I saw one time that said everybody thought Noah was crazy until the flood came. He was building the ark. So I've worked with Ralph. We've done other events. We did a back to school event. It was like, a couple years ago at the skating rink.
Yeah.
Free book bags, school supplies, free skating for the kids. We go way back to middle school. So I would just say Ralph's character, he's well respected in Columbus, in the Linden community. And the reason I think of Noah is I've seen the way that you move with the kids. I see how they respect you.
Yeah.
He rolls deep with his kids. They all have the We Are Linden shirts. And he's literally building up the next generation and these young people. Because people our age, we're not getting any younger. That's called life. It's okay. So he's building that arc. And everybody, especially in an underserved community like Linden, everybody's not doing that.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of these kids may not have those positive role models, especially a strong Black male figure in their life. And again, just seeing how he interacts with the kids, how active he is in the schools, in the Linden community, he's building that arc and rolling up his sleeves and doing the job that, in my opinion, and I am a product of the Linden community. I grew up in Linden as well, in Columbus, Ohio. A lot of people aren't doing that. And I appreciate and respect you for that and want to give you your flowers. And my last thing to that point would be everybody wants their flowers, but everyone's not willing to roll up their sleeves, dig, get in the dirt, get in the mud, and fertilize that soil. And you're fertilizing a lot of soil in the Linden community. So I just wanted to let you know that.
No, I appreciate that. Well, yeah, I mean, for me, like you just said it, I mean, I'm a product of my environment. I'm a product of Linden through and through. Most people shy away from that when they want to be, they don't want to be misrepresented of being of something that is deemed, I guess you would say, not valuable or wrong, right? To me, hey, I'm Linden all day,
That's
and
right.
I'm a product of that, and I hold it high. So, I mean, We Are Linden, it really started as a hashtag when I started doing like my community block party. That's really what it stemmed from. At the time with the name, I was working with an Academy for Urban Scholars, and at the time, that's when the height of pandemic was starting, and they wanted to do something for the community and they chose Linden. I said, well, you chose Linden and you got me.
Right.
So I remember that event, I made that t-shirt, the We Are Linden logo, and which is still the same logo to this day. And it like spread it like wildfire. Part of that backstory is my mom was a part of a concerned parent group that was housed out of St. Stephen's. So being and seeing this community work being done, I wasn't a stranger to it. I always volunteered anytime.
That's right.
St. Stephen's had their, not carols in Cleveland, their community shares or was it Christmas shares or something like that.
Okay.
And so anything that they had over there, I mean, for the longest I thought St. Stephen's was a rec center and it's a settlement house.
Same.
Right. And so, but that was all rec center, right? We can't tell us no different.
Yep.
And that was actually the first daycare I was, at the daycare ever I went to. It was daycare over there. Miss Juanita was my first daycare provider out of there. So yeah, I mean, the community work with just behind the scenes with Linden, with We Are Linden, it was kind of just really organic. Now with, really birthing it, it really stands for acronym. and
Mhm.
that's with everyone actively restoring and empowering.
Love
That's
that.
the We Are stands for. So everybody has their own We Are.
Mhm.
You know, rather if you on the south side, east side, west side, you know, I just want to really breed that next community champion per
Mhm.
se for
Exactly.
any side of the neighborhood. I can't go to the east side and say, "Hey, we are Linden." They're gonna look at me like I'm
Like
crazy,
what?
right? But I mean, I'm sure it's somebody out there that want to do what I'm doing. I just want to show them, and because I'm
Mhm.
just learning and going every day.
I love that. So, what would you attribute to your drive? Like, what drives you to do what you do? I know that you're saying that you grew up seeing and doing this work, but on those really, really rough days when you don't feel like empowering, you don't feel like being this figurehead, this community leader, what drives you really to dig deep and keep going?
I mean, really, it becomes second nature. It's just a part of me. Like, I mean, I literally go to sleep, wake up doing the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. You know, now my youngest son, I mean, he loves what I do. He wants to do what he sees his daddy do all the time. You know, to see the smile on these kids' faces, being a part of something,
Exactly.
right, is reason why I get up every day. My children, like I said, they love seeing it. They love being a part of it. To the point, even my daughter, when she see when we anytime you go to intersection you see a homeless person, she will make me stop and make sure
Oh,
that I give them something no
I
matter what
love
it
that.
is. She's like, "Dad,
Yeah,
we got to give them something, we got to help them,"
that's
and
what's
she'll
up.
be distraught if we don't give them something. Like, I'm like,
Mm,
"Baby, I ain't got no cash right now."
right.
Well, can you give them some candy? Like,
Mm-hmm.
she want to give them something. So little things like that, man, and just being good stewards, being a good shepherd, and that's just one of those things. I mean, God driven. I mean, He gave it to me.
That's right. So, speak on the pressures, or that was actually a perfect segue. Kind of, even though you're doing such positive, impactful, powerful work, speak on the pressures or the burden of that weight. What would you say not only would be the burdens, but maybe the things that when you're trying to balance your personal life with your role and your commitment to
Mhm.
doing what you do? Um, what gets the most difficult for you? What is the burden? What are the things behind the scenes people don't know? There are politics involved with community work. There are certain expectations and responsibilities that you don't talk about. Like you said, you just wake up and do it. It's second nature. But
Mhm.
speak on that a little bit if you would.
One of my OGs told me, he pretty much told me he knows that I'm not like a big person for the politics, right?
Hmm.
I'm not just showing up for a picture. I'm not showing up to shake your hand or
Hmm.
to be a part of the boys club or whatnot. If I'm coming to
Hmm.
support whoever that individual is or group or whatnot.
Right.
But he told me there's always politics that has to be done.
Hmm.
And I had to sit back and really digest that and then really understand it, because in this thing, I mean, you want to build relationships. It's about building bridges. Of
Hmm.
course, it makes it easier to get around when you build a bridge.
Sure.
We tear down these bridges or we um, create these alliances, right? Therefore,
Hmm.
you're going to be into that. You're going to walk into that gatekeeper mentality,
Hmm.
and I'm not doing that. If you want to learn something
Right.
from me or whatever I have, I'm gonna share it right to you. It's like playing spades.
Hmm.
I can show you my hand, but you ain't gonna play it like me.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? So when you get in this, you think that but doing positive is also much positive that will be being done right,
Hmm.
but it's a lot of negative that stems around this. And I just heard a quote the other day, especially in this realm where we're talking about funding and things like that. They said, once you talking about money, God leaves the room. And so when
Hmm.
I feel like when you start leaning on, oh well, how much money are you getting, or what is this money going to, or this, that, and third,
Yes.
then you start losing sight of the mission and the purpose of why you're doing it. When I started this, I started it with my own money and really with no money,
Hmm.
right? And so when the money is coming, right, I'm not going to lose sight of that. I'm going to make sure that I'm still doing what I'm doing, making sure that my family is straight, making sure my community is straight, and continue to serve.
Right. So it really, you just made me think of like Field of Dreams, build it and they will come.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's exactly what I think is a testament to what you're doing. What I've seen firsthand. Ralph and I also, I'm a counselor coordinator in the Linden community at a middle school. And I mean, he came and did an event at my school, and the kids afterward just asking about, oh, is Mr. Carter coming back? And the staff, the principal, they love him. And it's like you said, he wakes up and does all this, and he's busy always, going to do all these different things. But you were called for this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like you stated, can't nobody do what God calls you to do like you. People can try to emulate it, but I feel like you do it from such a selfless place.
Mhm.
People can pick up on that genuine, passionate energy. And that's why they want to follow you.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and I know that the community appreciates that. And again, I've just seen it firsthand. I've heard other people talking about it. So I would just say that you're truly setting an example. You are not only modeling for your family and your kids, as you've mentioned earlier, but all these kids coming behind you and just
Yeah.
feeling like, okay, something you said last year when you came to my school at the Empowerment Assembly was something along the lines of, when people think of Linden, sometimes it does have that negative reputation or connotation. And you said something along the lines of, no, like I represent the good part of Linden. Linden
Yeah.
isn't all bad. And again, I'm also a product of Linden. I grew up and I still, have family in the Linden area. So good things can come from bad environments or
Yeah.
neighborhoods. And just because an environment or neighborhood may be deemed as bad or, urban or underserved, underprivileged, um, you're rewriting a story. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are following suit, and these kids are watching. And that's just a beautiful thing for me. I try to do the same to some capacity in my own element. Um, and we need more people like you.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about really just changing the narrative, changing the mindsets
Hmm.
of people. You know, what I mean, the hardest thing to make somebody see is your vision through their eyes. So the moment that everybody is not deemed a visionary, right?
That's right.
Some people are good at being, I mean,
Hmm.
quite frankly, told what to do, right? That's why even though they say chess is the game of life, even
Hmm.
though really life don't work like that, but at the same time you do have those different stages, pawns, the rooks, things like that.
Mm,
Everybody has their own mission and purpose, right?
exactly.
I'm just serving mine and serving it the way that God showed me. I move
Hmm.
at God's place and nobody else's pace.
What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of doing what you do? I know you mentioned the smiles on the kids' faces. I would say, and like you said, it's not about just showing up, taking a picture. It's not about money or anything like that, or even clout or whatever. The people that choose to follow you, respect you, rock with you, it's because they see that you're really in this. So, what if you had to, and I know it's probably hard, if you had to list just one, what's the top most rewarding aspect or thing for you when it comes to the work you do as a community leader, when you do show up at these events, when you do go into the schools and roll up your sleeves and talk and mentor these kids? What would it be?
I just say my everlasting, I would say like always prayer is
Hmm.
to continue to allow God to bless me so I can be a blessing to others. And for me,
That's right.
literally being able to take care of my family by just being me,
Yes.
like by just being me,
Mm.
coming on platforms like this.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not being paid, guys, or the ones to let you know.
No, you're not.
But like, I mean, those things can start coming and happening,
Hmm.
right? There's value in what you say and how you say it, right?
Mm.
But long as it's having fruit to it. I'm
Yeah.
not just up here rambling or, I can have built up frustrations, but I'm not gonna
Mm.
allow that to stop when the overall mission is, right? I just want people to do right by each other and
Mm.
take care of their neighborhood, man, take care of their family,
Right.
you know, be good stewards.
Exactly. When it comes to the kids or the adults, the people that possibly host the events they ask you to come be a part of or be involved with, or the kids that you see every day and work with, what are some of the expectations? Let's say the more challenging expectations that they may have of you. The biggest one, I'm sure, being time. and you
Yeah.
have your own family, your own life as well. So again, there's always that balancing act that you seem to have mastered. But what would you say are like the top expectations of you when it comes to coming to these events? Or I'm sure the
Yeah.
kids get attached as a mentor. Mr. Carter, they're probably calling you and
Yeah.
wanting to do all this
Hours
stuff.
night. Yeah, texts and calls, all those things. I mean, the biggest thing for me, and they know, and I always try to ask, and when people say, "Well, what can I do?" My biggest thing
Right.
to say is just show up. So
Mm,
in that case, the kids know, the families know that will and doubt, I'm gonna try to find a way to show up.
mhm.
Rather if it's just if I got to call and put somebody in that place and say, hey, such and such is showing up, they bringing you this, or hey, I'm here. I can't stay long for graduation, but I am here.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, man, the biggest thing is just showing up for them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, when you were younger, you mentioned your mom's work in the community and growing up, also having that empowering others, that passion for helping people in the community was modeled for you. Young Ralph, as a little boy, um, did you immediately like and love that work, or did you say, I don't know, I'll go along with what my mom is doing, I'll go along with what my family is doing, but I don't know if I want to get into this, or was it really just truly like second nature?
Yeah, it was second nature because so one thing with so in my family on my mother, she had muscular dystrophy.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had to help and take care of her. My older siblings, everybody, they had it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So serving and helping was already just like second nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I always liked it to be. I like a lot of like I'm a movie person, so like
Mm-hmm.
I like those lone wolf movies where it's like that person is battling everybody and
Yes.
saving everybody, right?
Yes.
So I have that like that saviors, I guess you'll say, mentality in a sense. Always
Mm.
want to show up
Right.
to be there for a little person. I was in school. I was what you call a bullier. I ain't like bullies, so
A
anytime
bully
I
bullier.
yeah, I ain't like bullies. So anytime I seen that happen, then I'll just kindly pull it to the side, have a conversation with them. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, eventually I had to stop. And I'm not a confrontational person, so I try to do stuff on the slide or whatnot. Because once you put it all out there, now we in a time of social media and the phones come straight out,
Mm-hmm.
anything can get misconstrued. So it's like let me make sure I woo side first and then go
That's right.
approach it the right way. Because I mean the new generation, the kids are automatically ready to go off because they're used to getting told
Mm.
what they're doing wrong and those things, but
Mm.
nobody's really telling what they're doing right.
I'm about to crash out.
Yeah.
I hear that
Oh,
about
that
50
crash out.
times at the middle
Yeah,
school.
that
That's a
crash
thing
out
for
is
middle
just go
schoolers.
makes me
And
go
yes,
crazy. Like, would
for
y'all
young kids.
stop?
That's
Just
all
stop.
they say. These young kids, if you're not aware, crash out is a thing now. That means they
Yeah,
about to lose it. They about to flip out. They reach their tipping
yeah,
point. They're about to go off.
yeah,
Miss Q, I'm about to crash out. I'm just like, okay, y'all with
yeah.
this crash out.
Just say you upset. Okay, just say you upset.
Yeah,
I get it. You're upset.
exactly.
But
Now, something really, really important, and that has always been important in the Black community, is the importance of your mental health.
mm,
So, when it comes to mental health for the Black community and especially for Black men, speak on that. How do you manage your mental health in today's world and society, as demanding as it is, with the educational gaps, with the economic gaps, with lack of affordable housing, affordable healthcare, all these things that, of course, it impacts the Black community. And
mm,
of course, on a larger scale, it's impacting
mm.
everyone to some degree. But speak on mental health and how do we improve our mental health? How do we balance all of the pressures and
Mm,
demands and essentially being a race that we know we're like the underdogs, right? Like
mm,
historically,
yeah,
but with having so much power and potential that we hold as Black people, how do we get our mental health fully together and become more aware and get away from the stigmas of you go to therapy, you're crazy, something's wrong? I've heard it
mm,
all. I don't
yeah.
believe in that, but
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, one thing that's I didn't really understand it, and then now being around it and really starting to understand it now,
mhm,
I think talking it out, getting it out,
sure,
having those conversations with people that are going to give you a conversation back,
exactly.
right? They're doing this thing on social media, like we listen and we don't judge and all that stuff,
Yes, we listen
right?
and we don't
Oh boy,
judge.
if I didn't listen and don't judge, there'd be a lot of judgment going on. But no, I think really just talking it out, finding that
Mhm.
person that listens just as much as they give you feedback, right? I think for us as men, we don't have that outlet, right?
Mm,
I talk all the time, even when I'm talking to the young people about trying to find that healthy outlet so you don't crash out per se, right?
exactly.
So if you like to paint, draw, rap, heck,
Hmm.
even if you just like to sleep, go do that.
Exactly.
That's going to help you. Me, I listen to a lot of motivational speeches,
Hmm.
or when I'm on Instagram or what's name scrolling.
Hmm.
That's what I find. I find
Hmm.
those positive things. We have an affirmation book with our kids, me and my wife,
Hmm.
where we talk about that, reciting those things to you, to yourself, or just
Yes.
listening to them. Right?
Hmm.
I'm a visual learner, so I like to when I'm hearing words, I like to put visual aids
Hmm.
behind it, so that just helps me. Give confirmation about okay, I am doing something right, right?
Hmm.
Um, because I don't seek like validation or pats on the back. And I think that really I owe that to my brother. It was one thing that he taught me. He just was like, I used to get when I get honor roll certificates, things like that. And he was
Hmm.
like, well, you coming to me with basically with your hand out looking for money, looking
Mm.
for a reward, but why should I reward you for something you're supposed to be doing? Right.
Jesus.
And I feel like just in general, like we're supposed to be good stewards. We're supposed to do right by our
Exactly.
people. Um, but who says that you have to
Hmm.
be rewarded for it, right? This is like praising, and worship. It's like God is not always just going to bless you just because you're showing up church every day, right?
Literally.
It's
Hmm.
you have to act and not just actually showing up here
Right.
praise dancing and doing all
Hmm.
that, right? So I just make sure that I'm doing everything um, as He does, right?
Hmm.
I know I'm not going to be perfect, but at the same time, everything I do is pure. It's not with no ill or malicious intent or a hidden agenda.
Right. Lead without the expectation of return.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Lead without the expectation of a return, and you
mm,
will be rewarded.
yeah, yeah.
So we are at the segment of this episode. We are
Mm,
going to do firm and free.
mm.
So if you could tell me something you're firm on and something you like to be free from. So as an example, I'll go first. Something I am firm on is continuing to aim to create positive changes and impact in my family, in my community, and in everything that I do. Something I would like to be free from, man, those feelings of inadequacy
Mm,
that I can't answer the call that God's placed on my life.
yeah.
What about
I
you?
like that. So my three biggest things that I always say
Mm-hmm.
is I'm fair, firm, and consistent.
Mm,
Now when we're talking about being free from something, I just want to be free from all negativity. I
that's
don't
right.
like any negative things entering my orbit, any
Mm-hmm.
negative people. Don't come to me with anybody else's issues that is not your own. Like
Mm-hmm.
why are you telling me somebody else's business, right?
Right.
So all negativity, I want to be free of that.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
We are going to wrap up this episode and end it how we end every episode with our mantra. I am powerful beyond measure. The things that I say, think, and do will reflect that. I know who I am. I own who I am. Ralph, once again, I appreciate you so much for joining us today. For everyone that is tuning in and listening, I appreciate you. Remember to stay firm on your foundation. Y'all have an amazing day.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.